Hello everyone, I'm OCDsaster, and this is OCDsaster Blue, my Sonic exclusive channel where everything we do here is Sonic related. So if that sounds like something your speed, consider subscribing and checking out some other videos after this one. In today's video, I wanted to go over something that hasn't been talked about lately, especially during the modern era of Sonic, and dare I say, the renaissance of Sonic, starting with Sonic Frontiers. So, I saw a mod on Twitter the other day, which I know is an odd thing for me to say because I don't usually cover Sonic mods here on the channel. I think they're very cool. I just wish that Sega and Sonic Team would actually implement some of these ideas to their actual games, even though I know they can't just copy it one for one. But anyway, the mod is in Sonic Frontiers, where after doing a combo, finisher, or modifier, Sonic pulls his quills back and looks at the screen all cool and stylized, and I just thought, wow, that is truly the personality of Sonic that we haven't seen in a while. You see, Sonic started off with this cool can-do attitude inspired by Bill Clinton of all people, which I mentioned in my previous video talking about the origins of Sonic and the first Sonic game that I ever played. And throughout his history and video games and media, he's become a little bit different in each generation or iteration to fit the demographic target audience, and he has been a little bit silly from time to time. I'm looking at you, Sonic Colors. And then we went to the edgy Sonic persona in Sonic Frontiers, and that's kind of where we've left off. Sure, he has a few quips and one-liners here and there, but he's not nearly as spry and energetic and witty as previous titles. And I know it's a delicate balance when writing a character to be cool. You can fall into the cringe category, and there have been a few Sonic games where that happened, but not as many as you would think. But the majority of Sonic games, they do write Sonic's personality and charisma pretty well, and the voice actors do an amazing job portraying that level of coolness. So I thought it would be cool in today's video. How many times can I say cool? In today's video, I wanted to see, what do you guys think? Do you think Sonic is cool? Do you think he's cringy? What eras of Sonic did you like the most with his personality, his one-liners, his energy? And what was your least favorite era of Sonic where you just thought, he doesn't seem like his usual self? Sonic Frontiers is kind of where I saw a lot of this personality change as they went for a more grounded, grittier, darker story. It's not that dark, but they definitely tried to make it more serious, and so Sonic doesn't really have much to go off of. He does still clip once in a while in some cutscenes, but when it comes to the actual gameplay, he kind of just sits there. Now, you might get a random dialogue here and there where he mentions a character with like this area on an island, but it's few and far between from the wittiness. And I know that there's a balance there. You don't want your protagonist that the player is playing as to constantly be yapping. That will become obnoxious and annoying. But there is a nice delicate balance that can be put in between, say after a few fight encounters, after a boss battle, and in those cutscenes, where I just think they could have thrown some more stuff in for Sonic. However, we are in an era of post-Marvel and MCU in the sense where the hype for the MCU has died down, and so a lot of those tropes, the pop culture tropes, the quippiness, the wittiness after every single event that's happened, the commentary on, oh, that just happened, has definitely been oversaturated and people don't want to see it anymore. However, my argument is Sonic did this way before the MCU was even conceived, so that's kind of a silly argument to make in the forefront. I just think it would be very cool to not only have these fun dialogue, quippy things scattered and peppered throughout the next AAA Sonic game, but also to have it incorporated into his moveset when he's attacking enemies, if there's going to be something similar to the Sonic Frontiers battle mechanic. If they don't continue with that and we don't get a Sonic Frontiers sequel, it might not be Sonic Frontiers 2, and I definitely don't think it's going to be called Sonic Frontiers 2, but the sequel to Sonic Frontiers, and they don't continue with the battle tree and the fighting mechanics, then this falls a little bit on the wayside. But I do want them not to only have more abilities and more customization for Sonic and maybe some other playable characters, which I've mentioned in a previous video, But it would be cool to see Sonic's personality really shine instead of just being a blue ball or sending out blue balls or just winding up and doing a kick or punch. Have him say something, have him have some energy, have him like in the mod flip his hair because he knows he's cool. Have him, you know, do these one-liners after certain finishers. Have him comment on what the enemy looks like. Have him taunt the enemy as you're fighting, depending on if you're doing well or doing worse. Maybe he's crapping on himself a little bit more when he's not doing great. We've seen stuff like this in like as far back as the Spider-Man 2 video game, where you're playing as the Tobey Maguire of that universe, and he's just clipping along. And once again, that's an example where they eventually over-clip and they over-have these one-liners, but there is a balance, and you have writers, and you can hire a team to do that correctly. And I would just really like to see that in up-and-coming Sonic games, because I don't think Sonic is now boring, per se. I just think that he's kind of holding back his coolness, which in itself sounds a little bit cringy, but it's not meant to be that way. I am cringe, Sonic is not cringe. So what do you guys think? Do you think they're going to add some more flair to the next Sonic game? Do you want them to, or do you want them to keep the themes from the previous Sonic Frontiers game intact, where it's more grounded and more serious with only a few jokes here and there? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts and opinions. I definitely want to see them move into a more lighthearted kind of direction in the sense of Sonic's character. He's kind of the light in the dark. I'm all for serious, darker, grounded stories, but having Sonic as that balance to kind of lighten the mood up when everyone's down. I think that's kind of his whole style and personality. So with that being said, I'm OCDsaster, and I hope you have a super Sonic rest of your day. See ya!